Meet Dr. Lois Lee. When she found 11-year-olds working as prostitutes in Hollywood, she took them home. She built the first drop-in center, ran street programs across the West, and created a world-class home for kids nationwide. Dr. Lois Lee didn't just start a movement, she's rescued over 17,000 kids from sex trafficking. Now she's pulling back the curtain so you can meet the kids who changed her life and hear the truths no one else will tell. Welcome to the Dr. Lois Lee Show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lois Lee. Today I have Michele with me. Michele taught me about the system of care for children in America and why it doesn't work. I want to first introduce a film clip of Michele appearing on 60 Minutes.
I didn't really get into prostitution then until I came to Hollywood. And then I was really on my own. I didn't have any friends and I didn't have anything to do. I'd have to go pull a trick for something to eat or a place to stay.
Michele Martin says she ran away from home at 15 because her father had abused and molested her since she was 6. Lois Lee found her in Hollywood as a prostitute with a serious drug habit. Today, at 19, she attends college and works part-time with Children of the Night.
It's pretty easy. You walk down the street and I could walk 3 blocks and at least 5 cars would stop. And I didn't have to dress like a hooker. I didn't have to go to Sunset Boulevard and have that so-called hooker name. It's just like if I were to go to school, I'd wear my regular school clothes, walk down the street, and that's what they were looking for, a little schoolgirl type.
One day a car stopped and someone asked,
And I got in. That's where it started.
were you afraid when you got into cars?
When I got in the car, I was scared every time.
How did you live with that kind of fear every day?
I had no choice. Fear or starve.
It's a sexual supermarket, and kids are the market.
What made you trust Lois Lee?
Her taking me in her custody, clearing up my warrant, and taking me to her house in Beverly Hills. Well, she didn't know if I was the next day going to leave with all her stuff. I mean, I'd never had anybody trust me that much to say, yes, I'll take this child in my custody. If I were to mess up, it's her on the line.
Do you think you'll go back?
No.
Well, you see other kids out on the street. What would you say to those kids?
You got to look for another way.
Children of the Night?
It's a way out if you're really willing to try.
But it's no guarantee.
Well, you can't guarantee anything. You can't guarantee anything. Can't guarantee I'll be alive tomorrow.
You can't guarantee that you won't go back on the streets either, can you?
No.
Welcome, Michele. It's so nice to see you again.
Thank you, Doc. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about what you're doing today.
I'm a supervisor and a firefighter in an oil refinery.
And how long have you been doing that?
17 years total.
Now, I remember, because you're chairman of the alumni committee, who's part of the alumni who decides who gets scholarships of recent graduates, and we were having a graduation, and you called me and told me that Phillips 66 said you couldn't come. And you told them you were sorry, but you were going. You want to tell me about that?
Well, sometimes my schedule conflicts, but I let them know, this is a priority. I dedicate part of my life to Children of the Night, and I'm going to do whatever I can to be there.
What was their response to that?
No problem. We'll give you the vacation.
But they also did something else that was pretty special afterwards.
You mean the donation?
Well, not only the donations that you were able to raise from Phillips 66, but also they recognized you.
Yes, and they interviewed me there at work as well.
And what was that called?
Inclusion Diversity Week, and they talked about my past, and I told a little bit about my story, as well as some other people at work have had some challenges, and they told their story.
Well, let's go back and talk about how you even ended up on the street, because you're the one who really taught me. I mean, you put me in the courtroom, you taught me, I was pressed to do it. You taught me about the system of care, and your story really taught me why the government response to troubled children or to victimized children is not appropriate. So let's go back to when you were a little girl and you were in school and the PE teacher told you to take your scarf off and you refused. Do you remember that story?
Yes. So I was in school and I had a bandana on my neck, and the policy is you can't have a bandana. And so I said, well, if I'm going to tell it, I'm only going to tell it once. And so I told them, get the police. And they were like, what? So they got the police, and I ended up telling them everything, that, I was physically and sexually abused by my father. And when I took the bandana off, I had strangle marks around my neck.
I remember the story a little differently. I remember the PE teachers asking you to take your scarf off and you refused, and then sending you to the principal's office, and the principal saying to you, I will protect you. Nothing bad will ever happen to you again. Take the scarf off. Do you remember that? Is that true?
Yeah, I just kind of cut the chase and gave you the end of it.
So you took the scarf off, and out of that became a really important rule for all of my trainings with Children of the Night, with all staff and volunteers. And that was, don't ever make a child a promise you can't keep.
Right. And the system failed there because they took me out of the home, but they also left my little sister because it was my half sister.
And the father that was abusing you was his daughter?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then they take you to the police station, and the police are really sympathetic.
No.
I thought they were sympathetic. I thought you told me they were sympathetic and they wanted to put you in McLaren Hall and they were going out the door to arrest your dad. No, that's not all true.
Well, they kind of act like they were. I mean, maybe they were, but I look at the long and short of it. They were sympathetic, but I ended up in jail, so that's not sympathetic to me.
But the reason you ended up in jail is they had to do a routine, as they went out to arrest your father, they had to do a routine fingerprint check. And you came up as being on probation.
Maybe cause and effect, but to someone like me, I don't care how you felt. I just look at the results.
Right. And how old were you when all this was going on?
I believe that was 8th or 9th grade. My memory's still a blur.
Yeah. Okay. So then you went into juvenile hall, and then you couldn't sleep because there were guards on your door.
And it was terrible. I mean, here I am in juvenile hall and I didn't do anything wrong. I told to protect myself and the rest of my siblings, and here I am in with people that have gotten in trouble. Why is that?
And how long were you in juvenile hall?
Till I guess I went to court, and I don't remember how long that was, but it was long enough for me to kind of go through hell.
And when you went to court, were there charges against you? Or was it dependency court to figure out what to do with you?
To figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was asked, you can go with your mom. And I didn't like her boyfriend. He didn't like me. So I ended up at a girls' home. That was my only option.
And how long did you stay in the girls' home?
Maybe 6 months.
Okay. And then from there, you ran away to Hollywood?
No, the girls' home was in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard. I guess that probably wasn't the best place to be.
And then what happened?
I ran away.
And where did you go?
Streets.
Well, did you just go out to the streets? It's daylight, it's nighttime,
Well, I think when it first happened, I walked straight down the boulevard. I didn't go down Hollywood Boulevard. I walked towards Sunset, and I met a girl. She seemed very nice. I won't say her name, but I said, I just ran away. Can I stay with you? And she let me in.
And what was that like?
It was okay. And then I found out she was a dancer and some other things. And I mean, that was the start of it. I mean, I guess I was lucky in the very beginning. The person I met actually let me stay with her a few days.
And after the few days, she told you had to go, or?
Well, no, I was off on my own trying to figure stuff out.
And where did you go next?
I guess I just started turning tricks and to figure out,
You don't remember that first time? You've buried that?
I'm sure. I mean, I had nothing. I had no one. So.
And how did you find Children of the Night?
I was in a bar underage. I don't even know how I used to get in the bar, but yes, I was in a bar at an underage. And an outreach worker
For Children of the Night.
knew that I was an underage kid, and I guess had heard that, I was out on the streets doing stuff, and said, hey, there's an organization and we can help you. And she gave me the card. And within a few days, I showed up.
And who did you meet? What happened?
Well, I met the caseworkers.
Anyone in particular?
Well, I think the first caseworker I sat at her desk was Leanne.
Mm-hmm. And what was that like?
That was very interesting. It was like a hardcore reality check for me.
Because?
Well, she had a substance abuse problem in the past, and she clearly read me for mine. And she was giving me a reality check, and she said, just out of curiosity, how many needle marks do you have?
And?
It was 34. I mean, I may forget a lot of things in my past, but I never forget that, because that was a hardcore reality. Like, oh my God, I have 34 needle marks in my arm.
And what was it you were injecting into your arm?
Meth.
Mm-hmm. And so that would help you stay up at night so you didn't have to sleep on the streets?
Yeah, sleep, a couple times a week.
Okay. So what happened then with Children of the Night?
Well, I began to hang out, because a lot of times Children of the Night was just a safe haven for me. It was somewhere for me to go. If I was hungry, I could get food. If I needed clothes, whatever I needed, bus money. And a lot of times it was just somewhere safe to be. And when I didn't want to get high, I would definitely gravitate there. Mm-hmm. And I would stay there because I didn't want to get high, but I wasn't quite ready for help yet. But I was still on the border.
Okay. And then how did we meet?
One day you were walking by and they were like, oh, that's Dr. Lois Lee. And I think at the time I was like, oh, that's the doc, huh? And they were like, yeah. And I thought, hey, excuse me. You're all out here trying to save all these kids. What about the ones in that hotel? And you were like, what? I said, well, there's a hotel over there and there's like 200 kids there. Why are you not trying to save them? And then me and you started talking, and then you got busy.
Well, you took our street team, the outreach team,
Mm-hmm.
into that building at night, and it was called Hotel Hell by the Kids. It was a famous hotel where actresses came and lived in the 30s and 40s, but it was condemned, and it was a mess. And we pulled 50 kids out of there.
Probably more.
Yeah, well, and they all showed up the next day, and we booked them for appointments at the free clinic. We thought they were prostituting. And then the doctors
Somewhere.
from Children's Hospital said, these kids don't have STDs. They have staph infection. That was the rise and the beginning of the punk movement. Mm-hmm. We were right there at the front of it. And it was really pretty tragic, because we had little girls that were 13 and 12 that were pregnant, and the guys that were running it were parolees. The police knew about it and the politicians knew about it, but they all protected the rich owners. And so one of the things that happened was that I called the news media, and we did interviews, and the politicians called me and said, you won't be doing any news media without asking us for permission. And I said, you don't fund me, and I will. And then you were on the steps,
Oops.
I remember, filling out intake forms like had been filled out on you, on these kids in terms of what they needed, where they were from, how old they were, what services we could provide. You just kind of stepped up. And I didn't even know about it because I was in the back doing interviews. You were in the front and you doing the interviews. And then I get a call from the lieutenant commander in Hollywood, Ed Hawking, who became a very dear friend after some adverse interactions. And he had called me and he said, one of your case managers, has got a warrant out for arrest. And I said, I don't think so. And he said, oh, yeah, she does. And then he gave me your name. And I said, she doesn't work for me. I didn't know who you were. I had to hunt around to find you. And I said, what's the warrant for? And he said, she's a runaway. And I said, well, I'll take her to court. He said, you will? I said, well, yeah, I'm not going to just turn her over to the police. You can't pick her up, not from my place. So we went to court. And what happened?
You became my guardian. You took me into your house in Beverly Hills.
Do you remember what was said? Whose idea that was?
Yours. I still can't believe it. I still don't understand. I mean, you were like, I was like, why is this woman believing in me? I'm a street kid. I'm a runaway. I mean, how could she have faith in me, like, to even trust me? I mean,
Right. So then you came and you lived with me for a while. How long? Do you remember?
of course not.
I don't either. But it was for a while. And then when I got you in school. And then you were working at Children of the Night part-time.
Yep.
And
In the back, volunteering, looking up grants.
working with Christina.
Working with Christina.
the administrator, yes.
You had me in the book trying to look up grants to get me into college. You were, pushing me towards getting into college after high school. Yeah,
And then what happened?
I got high. And I told you I would, I wouldn't get high.
So you left.
Yes, because I'm a person of my word.
So you thought that I would be mad?
No, I just had respect for you.
And then, but you came back. You came in and out of my life for many, many years.
Always.
And today you're chairman of the alumni committee and you're chairman of the Children of the Night board of directors. How's that for you?
Amazing and a blessing.
In what way?
It's like I came full circle.
And you have children?
Yes,
How many children?
3 boys.
And now they're Children of the Night clients, right?
Yes, they are in the tutoring program.
And how did that happen?
I don't want to say failing, but they were getting behind when COVID hit. And I had mentioned something to somebody, and then might have been Miss Ventura or something. And, oh, well, let's get them tutoring. We can help.
So we tutored them during the pandemic.
And ever since.
And we taught them to read because
Yes.
the online education wasn't working. And now they're top of their classes.
They are honor rolls.
They are. They're really nice kids.
Yes. And they love it when they come to the graduation.
And the tutors love seeing them.
Yes.
They because they asked me for a budget so they could buy toys or things. And I said, buy a tent. And they said, what a great idea.
Yeah, and then, sometimes when we're here, I think about how what they hear will affect them, but I've never lied to them about anything. I've always told them the truth, but in a way I know it hurts and I know it sinks in, but each time they watch a graduation or hear a different part of my story, it affects them, and then we talk about it, and then they'll ask more questions, but to me, it's more reassuring to them that, look, mommy went through this, but I can't do this, or this because I might end up here. And that's why I stress education is key. Education, education, education. Then you go to work to make sure you're never homeless so you can never go through anything that I did.
And what do they know that you went through?
Life on the streets, living on the streets, prostitution,
They
drugs.
know the word prostitution.
Yes.
Do they know what that means?
Yes.
And how do they know what that means?
I've discussed it.
Okay. That's very brave of you.
Well, I want them to understand.
And where do you go from here?
What do you mean, when my job ends?
Well, the job's ending because refineries are closing down, right?
Refineries are closing down, and regulations of California are crazy. We're not the only refinery shutting down in California.
Are they keeping refineries open in other states?
Yeah, they're shutting down some in UK, not just ours, but
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just crazy right now. I'm weighing things back and forth, looking at other options. I'm keeping things open. I got a little bit of time, so I'm just trying to weigh my options,
What's it like for you to come back here and to present diplomas and meet the kids and supervise the kids that have just recently graduated with their high school diploma? What's that like for you?
It's one of the best feelings. I mean, you can't imagine what these kids feel like being flown in from out of state, and they meet a group of people. They have no idea who we are. They're going to have dinner with us, and they're like, who are these people? What do they want? And then we all stand up one at a time, and we share our story and tell these kids who we are. And then you see each one of them go, really? You? You too? You did that? And I say, yeah, I'm just like you. And then after you spend the day with them or the evening with them, and you get to know them and you build a bond, and this is all before they actually receive their diploma. And then the day of the graduation, we give them their diploma, and then we have conversations that day and that evening. And, then they want to have a relationship or a bond and, have phone calls and text message. I just got a phone call the other day, and the young lady was like, it's been 2 weeks. I hope that's not too soon to call you.
Oh, and all of that happens. All of that bonding happens in 36 hours. It's 3 days, right?
Really, it's only like 2.5 hours because
Yeah.
that's all we're really with them.
Well, you have the dinner with them and you welcome them.
Right.
And then that's when you see it on their faces, like, who are these people and what are they doing? And then the next day's graduation, right? And so it's getting their caps and gowns, and they're in hotel rooms by themselves for the first time, and they have dinner, and then you see them getting dressed in our videos down in the garage, and
Help
then the
them
ceremony.
get ready and spend a little time with them.
And then you take them to Universal Studios, which is
can I
big.
hang out with you? Of course. With my kids, but come on. And it's wonderful to give back. And the best part is they look at us like, I want to be like that. I want to be like her. I want to be one day an alumni. And I tell them, hey, when you're done with school and you got it all together and you're done with services, come back and be me. That can be you.
What did they say to that?
I will. And they're excited. I'd be like, hey, because the next generation's one day going to take our role. And that's you guys. And it just feels such a blessing to give back, because if they had this now, back in my day, I can't say I would have got it together sooner, but maybe I would have finished school. Oh, speaking of finished school, I recently found out I don't even have a high school diploma.
How did you find out that you didn't have a high school diploma? Because you thought you did, right?
Well, when I went to get a promotion, my job tried to verify my diploma. So I had already got a job at a refinery, got another job at the refinery, but when it came time to get the promotion as a supervisor, they ran my diploma again. And they said, we're unable to verify it. And I was like, what? So I was like, well, I've already been working here 5 years. What do you want to do? What else am I going to tell them?
Right.
You going to fire me now?
Right.
So after that meeting, of course, I Googled it, and I was like, what? This place is a fraud? It's not. So, yeah.
And who was paying them for those diplomas? There was so much fraud of programs setting up to help kids that were on the street, and they were
I'm
really
sure
helping
I paid
themselves.
them like $300 to go do this testing to get a fake diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it didn't pan out. So now what are you doing?
I'm tutoring to get my GED.
With our tutors?
Yes, ma'am.
But you've already taken one test, right?
Yes.
And why don't you just go take it and take all 4 sections, and then you see where you're at? Because normally you can pass 3 if you can read. I know you can read.
I don't like to fail anything.
You don't like to fail anything?
No, ma'am. So I'm going to make sure I pass. So I'm going to get whatever I got to make sure I take baby steps. I don't want to get discouraged. If I go and take it and I fail any or part, then I'm going to get discouraged. I'll take baby steps. I'll do one test at a time, and I'm doing good. I don't like to fail. I don't want to get discouraged.
And you just passed which test?
Science.
And the next one is?
Math.
Oh, you take the 2 hardest ones first, right?
Sure, why not? It is a cakewalk. Everything else is downhill.
I'm so proud of you. It's such a pleasure to know you. And I'm really happy we've been friends for all these years.
And it's a good thing for my kids, because I'm showing them, look, mommy doesn't have a diploma, but regardless of how old you are and what you're going through in life, you can still do anything you want, no matter how old you are. Here I am. And I'm telling them, mommy's tutoring. Shh, I got to get my GED. What is a GED? It's my diploma. You didn't graduate, mommy? No. But I want it to be something for them as an example. No matter how old you are, you can do anything in life. So I'm living by example.
Let's talk about how you finally got off drugs, because we kind of skipped that part.
Oh, well, there was another part before that part.
Okay, let's go through both of them.
I went to jail and they tried to send me to a so-called drug program. But when I got to this drug program, it was in Lancaster. It was a Christian ministry who didn't care anything about my drug program. All they wanted to do was stop me from being gay.
And so how did they do that?
Oh, well, they tortured me and beat me with the Bible, not physically, but tried to torment me with the words in the Bible and tell me that everything that I am is wrong and against God. And I eventually talked to my probation officer and got permission to leave. But if I could have left and then reported to LA, I probably could have got it together. But in between Lancaster and LA, I got high again. So
you went back and used drugs again, ended up back in front of a judge?
and then it was get into a real drug program or go to prison.
And he left that to you to figure out where the real drug program was?
Yes,
And how did you go about doing that, Michele?
I got the phone book. I started calling. You got a bed? How long is your program? When can I get there? And it was crazy because they told me, we got a bed, be here tomorrow. So when I got there, they go, no, you're still high. You need to go to rehab. Or detox. What is detox? Isn't that for like alcoholics or people on heroin? Yeah, you got to go detox. Okay, I'll go home and sleep. I'll be back tomorrow.
And?
I came back tomorrow.
Oh, so you didn't go to detox?
I'm not going to detox. I'm on meth. I just went home and slept. But thank God I did make it back.
So it was really a drug program that got you out of prostitution
And off the streets.
and off the streets. I think that's true for a lot of kids. I mean, today it's epidemic.
So what I think about is like, so did having the prostitution be my way of life led me to the drugs, so I did more drugs to cope with the prostitution?
Well, I believe, and from my experience and what I've seen, is there are two kinds of people that are prostituting. Those that are drug addicts who will do anything, I mean, even steal whatever they have to do in order to get money to fund their drugs. And I understand that. And then there's other people who prostitute and sometimes do drugs in order to cope with that. But if they're with the pimp may not let them use drugs because he wants to control them. And he wants to, hand that out as he sees fit. So I would think that I would guess that yours was basically drugs. And as how you ended up on the streets and involved in prostitution. But I think it's important to note that you came to Children of the Night, and they were not a one-stop answer. I mean, it wasn't something, you were on a journey, a life journey, that we couldn't interrupt. But during the time of your journey, you never lost contact with me or Children of the Night.
No.
What's that about?
I mean, you believed in me. You trusted me. You were there for me. I mean, you didn't even know me.
Well, I did. I've known you for how many years?
You did not know me when they said, take her to court. You didn't know me.
No, I didn't.
You knew nothing about me.
No.
But you believed in me.
Well, you were just a kid. I think you're
But you still
15
believed
years
in me.
old, right?
So how can I not keep in touch with somebody that doesn't know me and believes in me?
Oh, okay.
Your phone number was the only number that I remembered my whole life. You just recently changed it, but
No, I disconnected the landline.
but yes,
Yeah.
you believed in me. You were there for me. You were an honest opinion that I could go to for anything, just to run something by. Hey, doc, blah, blah, blah. And you, short and sweet, you'd cut it dry. I may not like the answer, but you'd give it to me raw. And it's honest. And I can respect that. I didn't always like the answer, but it didn't care. Mm-hmm. It was what was best for me. Mm-hmm. And I always used you as my sounding board.
Because I even tried to put you in a foster home, one of our private foster homes,
Yeah.
when I decided Children of the Night was going to run foster homes, which just didn't work. She really cared. She was really a good person, but you could work circles around her.
Yeah, and I stayed there a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And her one rule was, don't get high.
Mm-hmm.
And I got high, so I never came back.
Ah. And so you chose that. You took yourself out.
Right, because I'm honorable.
Mm-hmm.
So if your one thing is don't get high, and I get high, I'm not going to be around you or in your home and be high.
That honorable thing seems to be something that's core to your character. You've brought it up so many times now as we're talking. Where do you think that comes from?
Maybe you.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. You've never told me a lie,
No, I have not. I have not.
nor I to you.
No, I know. I know. I didn't always like what I heard, but.
I'm going to give you the truth.
Mm-hmm. So how long have we known each other now?
I think we said maybe 42 years.
It's a long time.
And we have to go back and forth. When was it?
I know. I know.
But I consider it a blessing.
And I do too. You taught me a lot. You taught me a lot about the system and how kids were jerked around. And if you were identified in one system and something happened to you, you were never considered a victim. You'd have to go back to the juvenile justice. And the reason you were on probation was because you got caught smoking marijuana in the bathroom when you were 13. And nobody put together that maybe the smoking marijuana had to do with the abuse that was going on at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was marijuana, it was against the law, you get arrested, you go to juvenile hall. And though forever after, when you reached out for help, it was back to juvenile hall was the primary organization responsible for you.
Mm-hmm.
And not that social services or foster homes were any better, because that's another system that doesn't work when kids are streetwise. You know, most people can't handle that. They don't know what to do with it.
That was the start of it all. And, you know, I'm just grateful I met you.
Well, I'm grateful I met you because you changed my life.
And you changed mine.
Thank you for joining me today.